In my last episode of Pokemon What If, we discussed what would have happened if Ash had evolved his Pikachu, which led him to becoming arrogant and losing his friends, Brock and Misty. I also did a theory on why Brock and Misty were holding Ash back, and it seems these theories and Pokemon What Ifs really open up a world of questions. From this came the question of, what if Ash hadn't stolen Misty's bike? Well, believe it or not, this makes a massive change in the events of Pokemon, and completely changes the first few episodes of the anime. Today's episode will pick up right after the events of the anime's first episode, Pokemon, I Choose You. 2/3 of the way through that episode, Ash is being pursued by a bunch of Spearow for throwing a rock at one of them and hitting them on the head. In the confusion, he thought the Spearow was a Pidgey and was attempting to capture it because his Pikachu would not listen to him. This caused the Spearow to turn angry and attack Pikachu, and after a short battle, it called for help, and now here we are, Ash is running from a flock of Spearow, dead set on killing him. Many people ask why Ash's Pikachu didn't just battle them instead, and put simply, there were way too many of them to stop all at once. Though I would like to add that if Ash had just thrown a Pokeball and caught the Spearow, things would have been different. Leave a comment if you'd like to see that as a new Pokemon What If. Back to our video though, Ash would continue on and arrive where Misty was, but instead of taking her bike, he would know that it was wrong to steal and just continue to run, telling her that she needs to run too and that there was a large flock of raging Spearow coming after him. After a moment, she would see the Pokemon chasing him and also run as Ash instructed, abandoning her bike and fishing supplies. As they ran, Misty began blaming Ash for what was happening, saying that there were too many of them to battle and that they needed to make it to town before the storm hits. Tripping and falling over a short ledge, both were surrounded by Spearow. Ash put down Pikachu, knowing it was too hurt to battle, and stood up. Standing in front of the flock of Spearow, he said his fabled speech.
Spearows, do you know who I am? I'm Ash from the town of Pallet. I'm destined to be the world's #1 Pokemon Master. I can't be defeated by the likes of you.
The flock would proceed to attack, but Pikachu would see Ash's selflessness, just as in the original, jump in and save the day with his thunder attack combined with the rainstorm. After everything had settled, Misty would wake Ash and point to the sky as Ho-Oh would be flying. Because they both saw it this time, Misty would change slightly. Misty would no longer be so angry and would see what Ash had done for her. Because there was no animosity from the beginning and Ash had sacrificed himself to save her, she would potentially fall in love with him, or at the very least care much more than she would have originally. Because they both saw Ho-Oh together, they would be granted happiness, and this would come in the form of each other. Misty would inform Professor Oak along with Ash during a call of the events that happened, and Oak would scratch his head saying, "One of you? No, both of you must be pure-hearted trainers. Pokemon trainers search their whole lives, and they never see a Pokemon like that. This is a truly amazing event." Looking to each other, they now knew it was their destiny to be together, and Misty's ambitions to show up her sisters was no longer even a thought. There were way bigger things at play now. Within a few hours, people came and spoke to Ash and Misty about the events that occurred. They were interviewed for Pokemon magazines, news stations, and newspapers. The story was so compelling that they were offered many things, from money to a movie deal to their heart's desire. In the midst of all this, Team Rocket would attack the Pokemon Center as they normally would have, except instead of Ash being alone in this battle, this time Misty and Ash would combine Starmie's water attacks and Pikachu's electric attacks to defeat them. Because there were so many trainers, Officer Jenny would end up capturing and arresting both of them, preventing Team Rocket from escaping this time. And this time, the Pokemon Center would not have been destroyed, and the battles would take place on camera. Ash and Misty were now legendary Pokemon trainers who not only saw a fabled Pokemon, but received his blessing and a mere day later defeated Team Rocket on television. After all the excitement, both Ash and Misty Misty would look at each other. "Now what?" Misty would say. Ash would laugh and say, "We become Pokemon Masters." And with that, the next morning they were off to Pewter City to get their first badge. Before leaving, Ash looked at Misty and said, "Hey, don't you have a bike?" Misty shook her head. "It doesn't matter anymore. What's a few physical possessions when we're on the adventure of a lifetime?" Laughing together, they walked along the route which would lead them to the Viridian Forest, and together they would continue on their journeys. Only this time, a lot happier. That's the end of this video, but if you would like me to continue this specific story, let me know with a like and comment below. What do you think? Would Misty have fallen in love with Ash, or do you think things would play out the same exact way, with her blaming him for the Spearow attacking anyways? And if you'd like me to look at something else, just leave your suggestions below, because I might not have done this episode if it had not been suggested.